Welcome to Ultimate Playlist. I'm Matt, that's Briggs, and this is a show where Briggs and I come up with the best songs around a theme to create its Ultimate Playlist. Each one of us contributing our top 5, and today's topic is the Ultimate Phil Collins Playlist. Now, Briggs, is the first time we've chosen an artist and done a top 10 list for them. Big day.
Well, we chose a good one because Phil Collins has a ton of hits.
Oh, a ton.
He's, he's one of the few people, was it 3 people who sold over 100 million albums,
ask you that.
both as a solo artist and in a band, Genesis, obviously. So, I mean, just a monster songwriter, a monster hit maker. He's Phil Collins. Come on, everyone loves Phil Collins.
That's right. Yeah, so I was I wondered if you'd come across that because I was gonna ask you trivia-wise if you knew the other two. They're pretty obvious, but did you catch up with that?
It's Michael Jackson is one of them, right?
That's
Michael
right.
Jackson, and then Jackson 5. And then what's the other one? I don't remember the other one.
Oh, the other one's a Beatle.
Mr. Paul, Sir Paul McCartney.
Sir Paul McCartney, yes.
It's not Ringo.
It is not Ringo. He had a couple, You Don't Come Easy. That was his hit as a solo artist. You don't come easy. That one, right? Yeah.
I forgot about that one.
But that didn't sell 100 million copies, so.
No. But Phil Collins is a perennial hit maker through the decades.
Yeah.
Monster musician.
Yes.
Who knew that he was also a monster songwriter, singer, performer.
Yeah.
Started as an actor.
He started as an actor?
Yeah, as he was a child actor.
I don't know that.
He's got a cameo in A Hard Day's Night. The Beatles movie. Speaking of the Beatles, he's like uncredited. He's like a fan in the audience or something like that.
That's funny.
Yeah, pretty cool. But I'm glad he started playing drums.
That's why he thought he could pull off Buster then.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know I must have seen that as a kid, but I have no recollection
I've
whatsoever.
never seen it. I've only read about it. I've never seen it. No way.
I think it was universally panned, but
the music's good.
The music's good, but I got to go back and watch it. Maybe I even saw it in the theater. I have like these vague recollections of that. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's great. Maybe I'm just.
It could be great.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Cool.
In retrospect.
All right. Well, shall we
get into it?
Yeah, let's get to the list. We're starting with your
number 5. All right. My number 5 is I Don't Care Anymore.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. He's good, man. He always puts in the special sauce in there. This is a kind of one of his signature things that he does. Is kind of like the slow burn song. You know what I mean?
Yep, of course.
It's like pretty mellow and moody, and the song is like, I don't know how long it is, but it's pretty long.
5.5 minutes.
5 minutes. Yeah. It was over 5 minutes, and he goes off at the end. You know, he really is getting into it.
He does.
But this one's great. I mean, it gets compared to one of his other famous songs that may or may not be on the list today.
Maybe.
But man, the drums are cool.
So cool.
The moody synth is cool. They do cool stuff with the drums. It starts off with that wide stereo tone, like roomy, and then it turns into like a more like hard pan kind of thing. And I don't know, it's just cool. It's a good song. It's a really great vocal performance.
Yes.
This is off of his second solo album, Hello, I Must Be Going.
Yeah.
1982. Didn't get too high on the charts, but it was still a hit, number 39 on the Hot 100.
Yeah, nominated for a Grammy, his first one as a solo artist too.
Speaking of Michael Jackson, Michael Jackson beat him out for it Beat It.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I find this song to be one of his better. I love Phil Collins, but my knock on Phil Collins is just like the lyrics sometimes aren't very good. You know, but this is one of my favorite ones in terms of his lyrics. They're simple, but you can tell the heart wrench there. I mean, he's talking about this whole album is pretty much dedicated to the disillusion of his first marriage. Like,
right.
He was really hurt after that, and so a lot of the songs in this album are kind of talking to her, and this one is this is definitely talking to her. So I just, even though it's simple lyrics, I think it really is expressed the right way. And you're right, exactly, with his amazing like vocal performance too. It really
very
hits.
emotive,
very emotive.
Yeah,
like everything about the gated kit is so cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's just like,
sounds great. I mean,
signature.
also it's just him playing drums too. Like it just sounds awesome when he plays drums.
Yep.
Like, the gated thing, the effect or whatever, it sounds cool, but it would still sound cool if he was just playing drums anyways,
That's true. Yeah.
It doesn't matter how it's recorded. It's going to sound good when Phil Collins plays the drums.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to say about the song is it was the second single released off the album. The first one was actually one of my favorites. I didn't include it on the list. Maybe you did, but it's because it's a cover. Can't Hurry Love was off this album too, and that was the first single that went out.
We were thinking the same thing.
Okay. I love that
I didn't
song.
include it on my list for the same reason. It's great. His version is so good.
So good.
I mean, it's Phil Collins. He's great.
He's great.
But yeah, I avoided covers as well.
Yeah. But if it weren't, that would have been on my list, I think.
It's great. It's really great.
Cool. Should we move on to my number 5?
Yeah, let's do it.
Number 5 is Something Happened on the Way to Heaven.
That's a good one.
Love a song.
It's really good.
Yeah,
Great bass part.
That was one of my things.
I mean, it's Nathan East, dude. That guy is
Yeah.
the beast, dude. He's so awesome.
So good. Yeah. It's an amazing bass part. And you listen to the part that catches me for the bass is obviously the chorus because it's that nice, awesome walking line.
Yep.
But then you listen to the verse and it's like, oh, that's awesome too. It's so good.
I mean, Nathan East only plays awesome bass parts.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
And he's done it on thousands of records.
Yeah. Clapton, Bob James, Winwood, Hancock, George
Everyone.
Harrison.
He's one of the most recorded bass players ever.
Yeah. So good. So Something Happened on the Way to Heaven. This is from 1989's But Seriously. I find this album not as compelling as some of the earlier albums.
I agree.
It sold like hotcakes, man. Like this thing went out.
Sure.
I think he sold maybe 15 million copies of this thing. So it was huge. And it did have 3 other big singles on there, but I think they're cheesy. Like I Wish It Would Rain Down.
This one's way cheesier than the other ones for sure.
Yeah. Do You Remember? I Wish It Would Rain Down. Another Day in Paradise. Those 3, I'm just like, I get a little bit cheesed out. He wanted, I think he got to the place where, I've talked about relationships. I've done some dance records. I'm going to make some social commentary. And so he started talking about, and then, I mean, and I that's a cool thing for him to do, but I just don't think it worked very well, even though he got a lot of accolades and I think he won a Grammy for Another Day for You and Me in Paradise. But I don't like those songs very much, but this song, this
is a good one. This is agreed. I exactly what you said. I feel the same way. It's pretty cheesy. I mean, it's a lot of schlock on there, but also, I mean, the songs are good. They're well composed and he's great, but it just doesn't really do it for me in the same way that some of the old ones did.
Exactly. The song was also, I got some competing information here.
Okay.
I do research, I'll do an internet search, but I also do ChatGPT research too, because it's usually pretty good.
Hey, why not?
ChatGPT wanted to tell me that this song was written for The Two Jakes, which is the follow-up movie to Chinatown. And I'm like, that doesn't sound right.
What? That's bizarre.
It was bizarre. So then I checked it out. And the internet told me that it was actually written for the War of the Roses, but not accepted. Do you remember that War of the Roses? Do you remember that movie? It was I think it was.
I don't actually. I remember the name, obviously, but.
Danny DeVito's in it. It brought the same people, I think, Kathleen Turner, Danny DeVito, in from Jewel of the Nile, Romance of the Stones, that group of people.
Okay, that era.
Michael Douglas, same 3 people, but they tried to do this. I don't know. I guess I know I saw it a long time ago, and I don't remember it being very good. But anyway, it wasn't accepted, so they stuck it on this album instead.
Okay, well, I missed that movie. That's interesting.
Yep. You got 2 to watch. Now you got War of the Roses and you got Buster. You gotta get into now.
Yeah, Buster.
All right, let's move on to your number 4.
Yeah, sure. My number 4 is Don't Lose My Number.
Great one.
Yeah, another monster hit from a monster album. This is off of No Jacket Required, which was certified diamond, which is 10 times platinum, right?
We're cutting glass with this thing.
Yeah, exactly. This went to number 4 on the Hot 100. This is a cool tune. It's got a cool guitar. It's just a good song. He's interesting though. Like he apparently he improvised the words to this, and it's not really about anything. Right? No. He's really vague about what the lyrics mean or whatever.
He didn't even know.
But yeah, I mean, it doesn't really matter. You can't argue with like a good hook, you know?
No, not at all.
This one has a good hook.
Yeah, it totally does. And this was this was right after he finishes the Genesis tour for, I think, Invisible Touch in like 1984, or maybe it was the album before or something. But he finishes that tour. Then he does an album with Clapton. He produces Clapton's album. I looked at that briefly and I didn't recognize any of the songs from that album. We talked about Clapton before, but finishes that and he's like, you know what? Last few albums were a little bit depressing, talking about my ex-wife. So I want to do a dance album, and so that's what No Jacket Required became. And there's a lot of up-tempo, like awesome songs on this.
Absolutely.
Take Me Home, not up-tempo, but a great song.
Yeah.
Sussudio, and there's a few more I saw on here. One More Night's a great song too.
The whole album is good. Yeah. Uh-huh.
But a little more up-tempo, a little less in mourning, I would say.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
But in the meantime, he writes a hit for White Nights, the movie, with Separate Lives. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's that's charting while he's releasing this thing.
He's been called the hardest working man in the 80s or whatever. and I mean, he really was, like when he flew from London to the US to play 2 shows in a day on Live Aid?
Live Aid, yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I mean, come on. He was in movies. He was writing tunes. He was producing albums.
Yeah. Speaking of that, on that Live Aid, so he's in London at Wembley Stadium with Sting doing "In the Air Tonight, Every Breath You Take," Against All Odds. Then gets on the Concorde, flies to JFK, goes to JFK Stadium, I think is what it is, and does songs with Clapton. He does Layla in White Room with Clapton. He does a bunch of songs with Led Zeppelin because Bonham's dead, of course, so he fills in for Bonham, and then his own songs.
And he did his own set, Apparently, the Led Zeppelin set was not very good, and they kind of argued about it, and Phil Collins said, so he was like, he was gonna walk off stage, but he didn't want to embarrass anyone or something. I don't know, it was weird. It was widely panned and ultimately disowned by the real Led Zeppelin guys. They said Phil Collins didn't learn the parts.
I watched it today, and
is it bad?
I didn't think it was that bad.
Okay.
I thought, what I thought was like, Collins blames the bass player, number one. He says the bass player was like Russian the whole thing. Because it wasn't JPJ. It was someone else who was sitting in. I can't remember.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
But what I thought Plant sounded really bad. I thought he was super flat the entire, they tried to do a whole lot of love. He was too low.
Okay.
I thought that he didn't sound good. And it's funny because Robert Plant later on in the 2000s, when he's an old guy, he's doing, acoustic shows and bluegrass shows, and he sounds great.
Sounds pretty good, yeah.
But for some reason at this time, he did not sound good there. That was
he was
the
out
thing.
Of it. Yeah,
I thought, because I paid attention to Phil Collins playing on it, and I was like, oh no, that sounds like the right part. So I thought it was all right. Yeah, sticking up for Phil.
How bad could it be? It's Phil Collins playing drums. It's going to be pretty good. I mean, it's not going to be John Bonham because no one's John Bonham, but still.
No, but actually, I mean, I'm not the hugest Bonham guy. I really love Phil Collins drumming. And,
he's awesome.
And if anybody ever questions, just listen to "Selling England by the Pound." Listen to that Genesis album from early 70s. Any of them, and he's sick. He kind of makes that album for me. It's so good. I love that album, and he makes it. So, that's a great number 4.
Yeah.
Shall we move on to my number 4?
Let's do it.
Okay, it's Sussudio.
Awesome. I love this song. Spoiler alert, also on my list.
Yeah, we have some crossovers already.
Yeah,
I
I'm
didn't
sure
say
we
anything,
do.
but we have some crossovers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's got a lot of songs, but there's some ones that are just so iconic.
So iconic. Yeah, this is also this is the one I forgot off of No Jacket Required. So just a monster album.
This is a number one hit.
Yeah, number one. Now, he did get pushback on this song because he loved Prince. He was listening to 1999 when he was on tour with Genesis,
right.
the last tour. He loved that album so much. And how can you not? It's Prince.
Yeah, it's obviously, yeah.
And so people say, well, it kind of sounds like 1999. And the keys
I don't know,
little
man.
bit.
Sure, it's a similar keyboard part. But other than that, they're both like awesome songs.
They're both
that
awesome
happen
songs.
to sound similar a little bit, not even that much.
No.
Like it's reminiscent of, I feel like, if anything.
Yes, reminiscent of. Right.
Like there's only so many ways you can organize notes in a pop format, right? And this is one of them.
Exactly.
That became two huge hits that are both good. Like it's not, I don't know.
It doesn't
matter. Who cares?
Who cares?
I hate that. There was like, people will love to hate on Phil Collins.
I know they do.
And they love to hate on stuff that sounds like other stuff.
Yeah.
But everything sounds like something.
It does. Yeah. Yeah. So here's an example. So then these are critics, and sometimes these critics are dumb. So you got Tom Brian calling you out, buddy, of Stereo Gum. And this is in 2020. He said this: in making funky dance pop, Collins committed the same sin as almost everyone else who made funky dance pop in the mid 80s. He bit Prince. And then he said, if something like that happened today, Collins would have at least had to give Prince a songwriting credit. No way.
No way.
It's not even that close. It's
dude,
not that
guy
close
doesn't
at
know
all.
what he's talking about.
Yeah.
No.
Like, do you listen to music before you critique?
Come on. I mean, anyone who does like Blues Riff 2,
right?
You know, they're like, then they're in the same boat. They owe Robert Johnson $20 or something.
Exactly.
Like, come on, that's garbage. I hate that kind of mentality. I mean, Sussudio is a great song. 1999 is a great song.
Yes.
They're both great songs.
They're both great. Okay.
Do they have a similar keyboard part?
But it's not even that. It's like it's even the beginning of it. It's like the bump, but not the back half of it.
Nothing else about it.
It's
Yeah,
just like, what are we doing?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, exactly.
Haters gonna hate. Haters are always gonna hate. And there's always haters.
I think that's the moral of this story.
Yeah.
So another one that he improvised the lyric. You know.
Had the placeholder. It was supposed to be kind of a placeholder lyric, right? Sussudio fit the part. And then he was going to come up with something else, but nothing else worked as well as Sussudio. So
work.
There you go. Who cares? I mean, that's also like, there's nonsense lyrics in music forever.
Of course.
Like we all live in the yellow submarine, whatever, come on. People have been just saying stuff. If it sounds good, it doesn't matter.
Or ba-da-da-ba-da. Like, what's that?
Yeah, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I think it's a great song. They also like gave him crap because of the horns. But if you listen to the it's
horns
two horns.
Are
it's
amazing.
Awesome. They're so good.
They're so good.
Super
it's the guys from Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yes. And it's super tight. Come on.
It's awesome too. And if you listen with headphones or whatever, there's like crazy panning, cool stuff.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think people were just hating because Phil Collins was so ubiquitous in the 80s.
Yep.
And
this
like
is
once you're that popular, someone's gonna call you out for something.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Or maybe at the time the horn thing was played out. I don't know. I think Sussudio holds up. I think it still sounds great.
It does.
It's a fun, catchy song that I would never turn off if it came on.
Exactly. Cool. Enough said. Shall we move on to your number 3? Or is that one that we cross over?
Nope. My number 3 is In the Air Tonight.
Such a great song.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, love it or hate it, whatever. I mean, I think everyone pretty much loves it, especially the drum part. But it's his signature song. There's no really denying that. Nope. It wasn't a huge hit, charting hit, went to number 19 on the Hot 100, but like it's the song that endures by him the most, I think.
Yeah.
Everyone knows it. Everyone knows and loves
the drum
fill. Ozzy Osbourne said it was the best drum fill ever recorded or something, like, come on, everyone, it's undeniable. You can't not air drum it when it comes on. Right. It's just great.
Yeah, I think it's definitely the most iconic. I mean, if someone says drum fill, this has got to be the number one thing that comes to their mind, I imagine.
It's certainly in the conversation, if not number one.
Yeah, something that occurred to me when I was listening to this just now, because we were just talking about Prince too, is there are very few people who can write super sparse music and be very simple and just have it be so awesome that you don't get sick of it. Like there's very few. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking of like When Doves Cry or Little Red Corvette or this song or what was it? I Don't Care No More. Like those are very simple, like just it's hard to do that. And then if you listen to it 1,000 times, not get sick of it. But these songs I never get sick of, even though they're so simply written. It's like it's a very rare trait for someone to be able to do that. It takes a master.
Simple ingredients, but perfectly executed.
Yeah.
It's like making bread or whatever. Anyone can mix up a couple things, but it's hard to make a good loaf.
Yeah. I mean, Sting could do it a little bit too. Like Every Breath You Take is really a great song. Another simple one, but that was kind of rare for him. I got kind of sick of Sting, so I don't put him in the same. I don't put him in the same category. But it's a very rare thing to be able to do.
Right, I agree with that.
Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about on this one?
I mean, this one kind of everyone knows it. It's not too much more to say about it that hasn't been said.
All right, well then we'll go to my number 3.
Okay.
Easy Lover.
Nice.
Thought this one might be a little controversial though, because it's a co-write.
Yeah, I also thought the same thing. This one, spoiler alert, this is my number 2, so we can talk about it now because that's my next choice. But I mean, but it's so Phil Collins.
It really
you know what
is.
I mean?
Yep.
And but I mean, Phil Bailey is also amazing. Like this is just a great song. Also co-written by Nathan East again on bass.
Again, amazing bass part.
Dude, it's so good.
So good.
He's great. I mean, this is an awesome song. And also, Phil Collins is all over it. He played drums. He produced the track.
That's right.
And he sings on it. I mean, and it's on his greatest hits album. It's a Phil Collins song as much as it's a Philip Bailey song, as much as it's a Nathan East song.
Yeah. So, and he plays it live all the time too. It's just part of his like quiver. So that's why I thought it made sense.
Same. And it's so awesome.
It's so awesome.
It's a great song.
Phil Bailey, member of Earth, Wind and Fire. The guy is an incredible musician. He's got a 4-octave range, a huge falsetto. And I found it really awesome that he asked Phil Collins to produce his solo record. I think it was this might have been his 3rd or 4th solo record, but like that's really cool because Phil Collins is not in that genre,
Right.
But it just speaks to Phil's like abilities. And anyway, but they were doing stuff, and then Phil Bailey was like, hey, why don't we write a song together too? Like, might as well. And so they kind of like stayed up all night, messed around with some things, and this is what came from it. And it's just such a sick song.
Pretty great.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, yes.
Yeah, peaked at number 2 on the Hot 100, so it was a big hit for both of them. Also got a Grammy nomination. And then his album did pretty well too. Philip Bailey, I didn't know this album at all. I listened to it today and it's actually pretty sick. But it did well too. It hit number 22 on the Billboard Album 200. So
okay.
I mean,
it's pretty good.
Pretty good.
I mean this song this also has become kind of iconic.
Yeah.
And interesting video. Yep. It was one of the videos where they kind of talk over the video and they show like behind the scenes footage of them recording and stuff.
Yeah.
Not my favorite style of video. Phil Collins actually had a few ones like that where like stuff is happening over the music.
Yes.
Which was not always my favorite. It's kind of interesting, but it It kind of takes you out of the moment.
Yeah, it is a little weird because they start with them in like director's chairs in front of a stage or something. And
it's like an interview kind of vibe.
And Phil's like, it's a little weird because this is a film about a film about a film. Like he does that kind of thing.
Right.
And then
he gets meta. He gets meta on it.
He gets meta. What was the other one that I saw? Was it Sussudio that was also a weird one where
it was?
Which is the one?
Don't Lose My Number.
Yeah,
Don't Lose My Number as a weird video.
Right. So the story. The story is that he was trying to figure out, he couldn't think of what a good video would be. And so they made the video about him not being able to figure out what a good video would be. And so they did multiple styles. So they did one.
Yes.
David Lee Roth.
And they kind of parodied, exactly. They parodied famous videos of the time, including David Lee Roth with all the bikini girls and whatnot.
Yeah. There was a Western. There was a black.
There was like samurai fight.
Samurai fight one too, yeah. Which I don't know that music video, but fine.
I think he was just aping film genres also. Like samurai movies, westerns, that kind of thing.
Kurosawa or something, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So yeah, right. And yeah, it kind of kicks you out of the out of the mood of the video. If you're watching it and then they start talking. So that I don't like that either. But
yeah, I always thought that was kind of weird.
At least he has a sense of humor about what he's doing.
Totally.
Yeah.
And it sounds like he does. That's kind of consistent through his thing. He doesn't take himself too seriously.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate.
He did have an album called But Seriously. So I don't know.
But it starts with an ellipsis. So it's But seriously.
Little wink there, maybe.
I don't know. Yeah, I think there's a little wink.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I love that one. So I guess next, because that was your number two, would be my number two. That was my
number two, so you're number two now. Yep.
Yeah, we can't do it because it's I Don't Care Anymore is my number two, which is it's just, I just love that. I love that song so much. In the same, you're right, in the same vibe as In the Air Tonight, but for me, this one, and I guess this is a spoiler, but this one just is like a notch above to me. Like I love that song, but this one's just a notch above. So that became my number two, but we don't have to talk about it because we already did.
Yep. Well, that brings us to my number one, which we also already talked about, which was Sussudio.
Oh.
I just think it's just a great, infectious pop song that is fun and awesome, and I like it. So that was my number one.
Yeah, now we're going to cross over again because my number one is Don't Lose My Number, which is my favorite. I love that song so much.
It is good.
I love the weird phrase too. Like there's the 2/4 bars in there, kind of on either side of the chorus. Ring it, don't lose my number. Just like smart, crafty, like delay writing in there too, which is so nice. But
he always has cool rhythmic stuff, and I guess it's maybe the drummer thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. A lot of syncopation stuff. I mean, I don't know how much of it he writes or orchestrates the horn stuff, but those are all like big. They're always like interesting rhythmic choices in there as well. Yeah.
I mean, I guess if you get the Earth, Wind, and Fire guys, just let them do their thing,
Yeah.
Don't mess with it. But yeah, I don't know who writes it. I know he doesn't write music, I guess. He's come up with his own system to learn songs that he hasn't written, but he doesn't read traditional musical scores, I guess, which is kind of interesting. I mean, obviously you don't have to read music to play music, but
I wonder if he reads percussion music.
I saw that he kind of came up with his own, like he doesn't read traditional notation. But he came up with a way to notate it or to compartmentalize it for performance somehow, some other way.
So
and
weird.
I guess he kind of regrets not learning traditional notation.
It would take him like 2 hours. He'd be done.
Maybe. I mean, it depends on how you internalize music too. If you're used to doing it by ear, if you hear something and you can play it, it's might be even harder to translate that skill to the written page. Do you know what I mean?
I know, but it's just like, so you would memorize it so quickly, but you would,
right. That's my point.
It would take forever. It would take a long time to like know all the patterns and understand how things fit together, like if quickly, but you can learn it super fast. It's just,
the mechanics of it are pretty simple.
Right.
But to be able to read it in real time.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like you can say like, okay, take the letters of the alphabet and it's pretty simple to make words. But if you have to read Chaucer out loud in front of people and sight read it, you know what I'm saying?
That's the difference.
It takes a lot more practice and skill to get to that level. The basic mechanics are pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
But operating at a high level is more difficult.
It's so funny. I remember I confused my 4th grade music teacher because we had like a sectional. I played clarinet through high school, through college, and so 4th grade I'm stuck with the clarinet. That wasn't my first choice, by the way. I chose saxophone, of course, like all cool kids my age. But they're like, a kid whose second choice would be the clarinet. We got to put him there because no one wants to play the clarinet. But I confused him because I could read pretty quickly. But then he would say, "Oh, but just play the A," and I'm like, "What's an A?" It's because it was the symbol. I knew what the symbol meant in terms of the buttons on the instrument, but I didn't know the letter name. And he was like,
"Gotcha.
Oh, that's weird that you don't know the name." I'm like, "Yeah, I guess I never internalized that." Then I learned,
right? Yeah. Sure, and then off to the races,
and the rest is history. Yeah.
Yep.
So what song? What did we miss? Like what
he has a lot of songs. I think we both kind of leaned in the same direction, away from kind of his more ballady ones. Yes. He's got seven number one hits.
Yeah.
6 of them I like. One of them I do not.
Which one?
Separate Lives. Yep. I don't care for that song. It doesn't do it for me. But like Against All Odds, you Take a Look at Me Now. Like that's a great song. That was the number one.
Great song.
That's another like slow burn kind of Phil Collins one. I like the more upbeat stuff, I guess.
Me too.
But, Another Day in Paradise was the number one.
Yes.
But that I think was just because he was so big in the 80s. Any song he put out was going to have enough critical mass to lift it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think because of the social message, it was not just that. I mean, it's a well-written song. It's critically acclaimed, acclaimed. But I just think that probably put it over the edge. And I heard it a lot too. Like that was all over the radio, when we were kids. So I just was like, eh. Yeah, and that one sounds dated too because of the keyboard. You know what I mean? Like if it were just,
a lot of these songs sound kind of the time. Like the drum machine synth 80s thing, but I don't know if it sounds as dated, because it still sounds good. Like Sussudio, I think still sounds great.
Exactly.
Even though it sounds of the time, it doesn't give me like the cringe factor.
Right. I think that's the difference is you can sound of the times and you can sound dated. The dated to me is just like, it's the tinkly keyboards that are like
the DX7 or whatever.
I don't know.
The Doogie Howser keyboard.
Yes. Yeah. If he did it on a piano, I'd be like, oh, that's nice. But I wanted to say something about Against All Odds. Rick Beato, Rick Beato.
Yeah, of course.
He's amazing. His YouTube channel is fantastic. Anybody who loves music should watch his channel.
Absolutely.
He's just such a smart musician. He's
a good educator too.
And a great educator. Yes, he can really break things down super well. He broke down Against All Odds, and I did not realize how goddamn complicated that song is. It is like
I didn't see that video. I gotta watch it.
One of the most complicated songs you could possibly write, and what makes it so badass is you would never know that from you listen to the melody, and you would never know how complicated the chord progression is. It is like insanely complicated, but his melody is just so good. It just doesn't. You wouldn't hear that melody and think, oh, this is complicated. But it is super, very dense, very odd chord change progression. But it's awesome. It's a great song. But yeah, it's a little slow, so that's probably why I gravitate towards the upbeat Phil.
Couple of his other big hits were covers. A Groovy Kind of Love. That's a cover.
That's right.
And that was from Buster the movie. Also,
not a good song either.
Yeah. It was a number one hit though.
I know.
2 number one hits from Buster the movie, which was a bust, but the Two Hearts was the other number one hit from there. And that was written by one of the Motown, co-written by one of the Motown guys.
Exactly.
Him. Yep. So, and I mean, that's what it sounds like.
It does.
But he's got a huge thing for Motown anyways, so it's probably kind of a dream for Phil Collins to write this song with that guy.
Yeah. It's kind of very similar, like, sojourn that he had into Motown, kind of like Billy Joel had.
Yeah, right. Sure.
With his like doo-wop.
Well, I mean, who doesn't like Motown though?
Oh, I mean, it's awesome. But to dedicate like an album kind of to it is like, or at least an album's worth of songs. To do the Supremes, Can't Hurry Love, and then the ones that you just mentioned. It's like he really like went down that path, which is amazing. And then also producing, producing the music with Philip Bailey, saying just to go down that track is pretty awesome.
Yep.
Take Me Home Another great song.
That's a great song. That was a borderline one for me. But you know, and that's just, there's so many good songs on No Jacket Required.
Yeah.
I couldn't have 3 tunes from that on my list. You know what I mean?
I know. I kind of felt the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great
one. That
one.
one's really good. That's another slow burn one where he goes off at the end and it's awesome. And it's got the kind of just the repeated motif of that tingling noise, whatever that thing is, the whole time. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I mentioned this on the show before, but that sounds very much like the Bill James bell sample that you hear all over rap. It very much reminds me of that. And I wonder if, because he was working with people who worked with Bill James, so I wonder if he heard some of that stuff and was like, oh, that'd be kind of a cool thing to stick in.
Could be.
There.
I mean, it sounds like he does some element of synthesis from what he's heard, right?
Yeah.
Because like when he got called out on the Sussudio thing by Prince, he copped to it. He's like, yeah, it's definitely similar. And I love that song and I listen to it all the time. Yeah. So he doesn't care. I mean, music's music. If it's a good song, it's a good song.
That's true. Yeah. We both stayed away from we didn't explicitly say this, but I guess we both just knew to stay away from the Genesis stuff.
Yeah, I did, even though some of them are so Phil Collins, like Invisible Touch or whatever, which is a great song that I really like. But I mean, it's technically a Genesis song, even though it could totally exist in the Phil Collins solo canon, you know?
Yeah, I felt the same way about Follow You, Follow Me, another one I love, but it's a Genesis song, so can't use that one.
Yeah.
But a huge run there too, just between No Jacket Required, Invisible Touch, like from 81 through, I don't know, probably that whole decade basically.
Through 89. He had the last #1 hit of the 80s.
That's right.
That's a statistic.
Yeah. I mean, that whole decade was really him. Was there anybody bigger than him in the 80s?
I mean, maybe Prince.
Maybe Prince. Yeah, I guess Prince. But Prince didn't sell as many records.
Like Michael Jackson, Prince, Phil Collins, like as hit makers, you know?
I guess,
they were contemporaries or peers or whatever you want to call it.
That's true, but Prince didn't have he didn't have the two bands going on, and neither did Michael Jackson by that time. It was just soul, and they were both monsters, of course, but I think Phil sold more out. Maybe Michael beat him in album sales. Not combined, though, I don't think. Not combined.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I mean, like Prince's output is legendary too. He's got a million songs from the vault, and they're all pretty good.
Right.
He's got some bullshit. I'm sure everyone does, but man,
I know. And you're totally right. If you count the songs that other people covered, like Sinead we mentioned last time.
He's written so many songs.
Chaka
Manic
Khan.
Monday.
Exactly.
He wrote so many hits for people.
Yeah, the Stevie Nicks song. What is that? Age of 17. She gave him credit for that too.
Okay. He wrote a million songs.
Yeah. So, okay. I guess that's contemporaries, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, Phil Collins is one of the all-time greats of pop or adult contemporary music.
That's right. Not doing so well these days, though. I know he's pretty beat up health-wise, so that's kind of sad. I know he toured a year or two ago or something, I think is kind of his final tour. Genesis did a tour, I don't know, a few years ago too. It was kind of a goodbye, but too bad. Phil's not that old. He's only in his early 70s, but I just think maybe the years on the road.
I think he's had some pretty gnarly surgeries too. He had some issues. I don't know if it's from playing drumming or what, but he had some sort of spinal surgery that affected his ability to play drums.
Yeah.
So, hitting drums for 50, 60 years is going to mess you up, Yeah.
I mean, Neil Peart had to stop too, which is.
Yeah. A lot of people do. I mean, especially if you hit the drums really hard, Yeah. And you can hear it on the records. He's bashing them and it sounds awesome.
It does.
But man, he takes a toll on you, I guess.
It does. Cool. Well, that's Phil Collins. Anything else we need to talk about with Phil?
I mean, he kept on doing stuff, including like the music for the Disney Tarzan movie, which isn't my jam. I mean, I'm sure it was probably cool for him to do it, but that was interesting, I think. But I guess it's kind of in line with his cheesiness tendency.
Totally. I mean, he answered that too. Like he knew that people thought it was cheesy and wondered why he did it. And he was like, chance to do something outside of like the type of music I normally do, I'm going to take that chance. I mean, I might as well.
I mean, he's an artist, right? He's going to write music. He can write music in a variety of genres. Why not this one?
Right. Yeah. I mean, if someone said, "Hey, can you do a country song for this movie?" I'm sure he would have tried it out.
Yep.
Phil Collins' country would have been
probably
amazing.
Would have nailed it. Yeah,
he probably would
good.
Did you know? Oh, something else I noticed today. I just wanted to bring up too is, did you know like his accent changes on his songs? I don't know if he does an affectation. His normal speaking accent is relatively heavy, but then when he sings, it's not. He sounds almost Americanized when he sings.
Yeah.
Except for a few songs, he's got like a pretty thick accent on it. I wondered if you'd noticed it when you were kind of exploring his songs.
No, I guess I didn't really think about it too much. I mean, I've certainly heard him talk before, and he's got a British accent, but it doesn't come through that much when he sings. I'm sure there's certain words where it does, but I guess I never paid too close attention to that.
I think mostly if I listened to him, I would never have suspected that he was British. But there's just a few songs where it's like he I feel like he puts the affectation on and sounds more American. Maybe.
I see.
Maybe because that's his influence or whatever. But then he just doesn't put the affectation on, the American accent on, and then he sounds like him again. And I just found it interesting that there were a few songs there which he did it. So that must have been a conscious decision.
I would imagine.
Yeah. So kind of wondered why he chose that for those. But yeah.
I do not know.
Well, when you see him next,
I'll ask him next time we're having dinner. Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, I guess, that's it for Phil Collins. And I guess we'll see you on the next one. So for Briggs, I'm Matt. This has been Ultimate Playlist, and we'll see you next time. Bye.